No. Hi guys, my name's Daryl.
Hi, I'm D'Vonne.
Just kidding.
We're reviewing Us.
Us the movie, not us as persons. Why do I never think about this beforehand?
Yet you were trashing us on our review.
I really liked it. Okay, we'll just go with genius. You guys, I'm drunk. I can't tell whether or not I sound certain.
Uncomfortable?
Literally every movie I've been with you to, you went up, you got up and go to the bathroom.
You know, I did too. I gotta ask, which part did you go to the bathroom at?
It was like right before they killed the white family. Like right before.
I just don't get how do you go to the bathroom and during a movie?
I mean, I could have peed on myself, but you know.
Not a sequel to Get Out.
Reflections are scary. Let's do it.
Rock, paper.
Does that mean I get to... Fuck, dude, why is this so hard?
You got it.
I saw it twice.
Movie starts out, flashback. What was it,
86.
1986, and it shows like this Hands Across America commercial, and it shows Adelaide watching it.
Young Adelaide is at the boardwalk. She wanders off away from her parents, goes into this like haunted mirrors place, and she sees a reflection. She realizes it's not a reflection, it's an actual person. And then we cut to present day, where her and her family are about to take a family vacation, a road trip to Santa Cruz.
And they're listening to a song. I got 5 on it, but it's like a flip to it. And then she's teaching her son how to like snap, but she's like very offbeat. Fast forward, she's kind of telling her husband, Gabe, about how she doesn't really feel comfortable. She kind of just wants to go home, but Gabe's like, no, whatever, we're going to have a good time, we're on vacation. So they go to the beach, they're having a good time. The kids are like digging sand tunnels and stuff. And then there's another white family. I don't remember their names. But
I don't either.
But they have like
because it's not important. No.
But they have a very clear conflict in their relationship, and it kind of makes everybody uncomfortable. And so after they kind of talk to one another, Adelaide starts seeing these weird coincidences where it's like the frisbee lands perfectly on the polka dots of the thing or whatever. It's really weird. And then she notices that Jason is missing. So she goes to find Jason, and Jason is like looking at this guy who's like stretched out like this, and he looks really creepy, and he has scissors and stuff. And he's like waiting for somebody to come hold his hand. And so, I know it sounds so sad. And so, she's like, Jason, I was so worried about you. Don't run away ever.
She finds him. I mean, yeah, of course she finds him.
I'm just saying, you just left him.
Are you okay?
He's just gone? Like,
Winston Duke is in bed like, yo, come on, let's make some magic in this room. And Adelaide's freaking out. And then she explains to him what's going on. And he's like, oh, it'll be fine. You look like you. Our driveway. Is it
I think it's Jason.
Jason?
I think.
Yeah, he's like, there's a family in our driveway. We're like, what the
There's a family in our driveway.
It's probably the neighbors.
And then it's their people, and they're all in red jumpsuits, and they look killer. Like they're about to murder somebody.
Can I help you?
Yes. If you want to get crazy, we can get crazy. That's when shit gets real, and they come into the house because her family has a hider key. And he's like, that's the whitest shit I've ever heard.
Damn, that's great.
They come and they attack them, and they like chain them up, or they chain Adelaide up at least. Lupita talks, or Adelaide talk, or Red yeah. Her tether talks in this voice that's very, very raspy, and she's telling the story about what happened to them.
She also described how there was how they ended up down there. Like there was a scientist or someone who like and he tried to clone people. Yeah. There we go. And he failed, and he just left all the clones underground.
And there are a whole bunch of chases. People are chased to boats. People are chased down the road. People are locked in closets.
Oh, yeah.
People are everywhere.
Abraham the Tethered is trying to kill Gabe. And Gabe ends up killing Abraham by putting his head through the boat engine.
Through the twirler.
Yeah, the engine. No, that's not the engine.
And then boom, we cut to the same dysfunctional white family's house that was on the beach. Their tethers show up too, and we find out that everybody has a tether.
Their tethers killed them, so the whole white family is gone. R.I.P. And the white mom, she's like, Ophelia, which is like the knockoff Alexa, call the police, and it starts playing police, which I thought was amazing.
Eventually, they kill the daughters tethered, and then Adelaide hops out of the car to like check on, to like almost like make sure that she's like okay or like not too dead or something.
Not too dead.
Kind
Get
of.
it on right. Just the right amount of it.
Jason finds out that him and his tether are connected, so like there's like a giant fire behind his tether, and he puts his arms up and he walks backwards and he's like, yeah, this will kill him. And so he walks backward until his tether's in the fire, and then he dies. And Adelaide seems like strangely very concerned about that.
And then Adelaide's tethered, steals Jason, and they run off. And then Adelaide's like, no, we have to find my son. And so they venture into the underground. So there's a little bit of exposition about the cloning process and like the rabbits and things like that.
And that's when we find out that Adelaide was switched with Red in the very beginning, back in 1984. So yeah, we find out that she choked her and dragged her underground, switched shirts with her so that she looked like the original Adelaide, and then she just lived her life above ground. After that, they fight. They fight to the death, and then Red loses. She gets choked out by the handcuffs, the same handcuffs that she handcuffed her with. And then we find out that Jason heard the whole thing. And so he's like skeptical of his mother.
And so then, and I believe after that is when they do the big shot of like all the tethers coming together and like holding hands, and it's like, it's a long line of hand holding. There's a lot of intimacy going on there. And so it's just like mountains and mountains and mountains of hand holding.
Yes.
And so, and then you see, oh, okay, this thing is bigger than we thought. And then, boom, credits roll.
I just wanted to talk about the scene where Winston Duke was just like laying in bed and he was like...
My favorite scene was probably at the very end when Red and Adelaide are fighting, and there's like the montages of the two dancing and stuff like that. And it's like, I Got Five on it is playing at the time, but it's like only playing like with alongside certain motions and stuff. And you kind of see them struggling for power. When you see Adelaide kill Red at the end, and then she gives off that like, I believe it was like a laugh or something like that. Gives off that impression like, okay, there is something wrong with her. Because you see all of the tethered people do that. You see them kind of like having this weird, distinct kind of like communication, these smiles like. And so that's the moment where it's like, oh shit. Or my other favorite scene very quickly was this moment where the white tethered mom, she wants to kill Adelaide, but she stops. And it almost feels like it's because she thinks like, oh, she's one of us.
Well, I think they're somewhere outside of Santa Cruz. It's like a nondescript like lake.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Somewhere in
And
California.
then because
If
they
you
want
want
to
to
go
be
to Santa
technical.
Cruz. I mean, I'm no geologist.
Geologist? Studies rocks.
When they showed the switch of the two young Adelaides, and they were just going through, they like switched between the upper ground where like the carnival was happening and the people were like just living their regular lives, and then the underground where the tethered were, and they had to just like live just like lesser versions of the upper ground people, and just like eating rabbits and shit, and just like going through that whole thing, and then tying her up, and then putting on her clothes and leaving to go be Adelaide.
Like the...
I loved when Zora's tethered stabbed that guy in the dick, because that was hilarious. Well, I saw it twice, despite me struggling to get through the plot of the story. Overall, I really liked it.
I feel like he gave a little bit too much away.
You think so?
I think so. I think that had he kind of left a lot of the ending ambiguous in whether or not Adelaide was a tethered, ambiguous, I think that would have made the film a lot better. Because
Did you like expect the twist the first time you saw it?
I did, because it's Jordan Peele. I expected that it was
Like
a twist.
a twist, but like I mean like the specific twist.
No, I didn't expect that
Okay.
twist. I just feel like he spelled it out a little bit too much, because I feel like with the potential of Adelaide being a tethered, when you go back a lot of points you can kind of connect like 1 and 2
Yeah.
versus like.
But I think that's great though, because like it makes you rethink the whole movie and like think about it even after you leave the theater.
But see, I think I wanted him to hint at it, but not say it explicitly, because when you say it explicitly, it's like there's no room for error. Like,
I don't know. I think the message has a lot to do with privilege and like just like knowing like because like the tethered are obviously the less privileged and then the people above ground are more privileged, and like even the more privileged people like Adelaide's whole family, they didn't really like see themselves as like privileged. They were just like a normal family, but I don't know. I feel like it's not as like boom as Get Out. It's not like in your face, but
I think it was like a little bit of like a subtle in your face, because like with her husband, how he did have that like Howard, that Howard hoodie or sweatshirt on or whatever. How it's like that is very openly saying like, hey, I am a college graduate. I am a like, HBCU graduated individual. And so it's like, I almost feel like it was a little bit too accessible. I feel like you don't have to do nearly as much of the work as you did in Get Out, but.
And so I guess my question is like, do you think that accessibility results from the critiques that were pushed onto Get Out?
Maybe as a filmmaker, you kind of want people to, or at least a majority of the people, to kind of understand what you're going for. I feel like with a film like this that is kind of like a social critique on privilege and stuff like that, you do want your message to be a little bit more accessible to even the people that aren't as privileged as some of the people that may go to see your film. But I don't know if that's directly because of the critiques on Get Out, or if that's just because of like personal reflections that he made when he was writing it. I don't know if I'd even say that this film was a lot harder to get than Get Out. I don't know.
it's just different. It's a different message, I guess.
Yeah. Where it's not just like black people, it's like society as a whole.
Right, exactly.
Like whereas Get Out kind of speaks to like black people, this speaks more to like class, and like there are more like middle class people than there are solely black people. Can I go pee real quick?
I know I have to pee too.
I was actually mad interested in the cloning too, just because I feel like you can't bring up this idea of like cloning people and bringing them up and just not explain anything else about it.
That's why I'm hoping
I
that
was
he has
so
another
interested
movie
in that.
explaining it.
I don't know if that elaboration on the cloning part could carry an entire film.
I think it could.
But just like
depending on how you do it.
Even a brief backstory would have been dope in the same way that like Get Out kind of had that film.
Like, you know how in the car the Zora was talking about like the fluoride in the water poisoning us? I read or heard somewhere that that's kind of like Adelaide's version of like the whole science experiment. So like that's probably what she believes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what happened. It's like a conspiracy theory, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like she doesn't know that that's exactly what happened, but it could have been.
That's him copping out of some plot holes, I think.
Yeah.
He's like, let's just make it sound like a conspiracy theory so I can cover all my ground.
all the typical horror tropes where you'd be like, why are you doing that? Stay in the car. They all kind of like had a purpose. I thought that was really cool, and I thought that it showed that he really not only watches but like thinks about the genre and thinks about people's reactions to the genre. But
and there's been a lot of backlash saying that because she based it off of I don't know the exact story, but like how it's been like considered offensive to like some people that like actually have this like disability because that's what she like based it off of.
What?
And like I just want to know your guys like sort of take on this. Like did you while watching it, did you find it
What disability?
like I don't know the disability exactly, but if you
Yeah,
look
I don't
up,
know.
like,
I heard
the
about it.
DFSR.
I heard about it on a podcast, and they said it was like an actual condition to where like if you don't speak for a really long time, that's what your voice sounds like.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not offensive. I feel like it's more accurate than offensive because like that's what actually happened to the people that were underground. So obviously she's gonna sound like that. Like,
It's like saying you can't put somebody in a wheelchair if they break their legs in a movie.
right.
I mean, I agree because I feel so. Not only does she not speak in a long time, because even if she does speak, nobody's gonna understand what she's saying because like that shows in Winston Duke's character where all he can kind of like do is
It's
howl.
like howl,
Yeah, like they were never educated to actually speak. Adelaide is the only one, or Red is the only one that actually knows how to speak. And since she has nobody to speak to, why would she continue to speak?
Right.
And so I'm sure her vocal cords are a little bit strained, but also like she got choked out by Adelaide. And I'm sure that has some kind
That
of...
was after she started speaking.
But still, she's not doing like some light choke. She's gonna like choke the shit out of
That's
her.
when she died, though, so that doesn't.
No, he's talking about like when
Wait,
when they
what?
got switched.
Yeah, when they got
Like,
switched.
when she
8 slain white families out of 10.
Okay, I would give it 8.5 stabs to the dicks out of 10.
John's gonna have trouble with this one, putting these graphics
I
up.
love it. I love giving him a hard time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shameless plug. I'm Daryl, and I have a podcast with D. It is the :D podcast. D is spelled DEE, and you can find that on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud under PBA Podcast, like the network. So.
I'm D'Vonne. If you want to see more of me, click right here.
Yeah.
Grozny Productions. Like, comment, subscribe,
Donate.
donate, you know,
Why don't we ask for that? Donate.
give us your money.
Or else I will cry and play Teardrops on My Guitar by Taylor Swift.
Aww.
Don't make him
We
do
don't
that.
want
Don't make
that.
him do that.
No Taylor Swift.